All of you, hope you guys are great and welcome back to this complete Solidity course. In the last video we have written our smart contract which print hello world. In this video we're going to write our first application. Okay, so let me come here and let me create a file. I'll call it, now let's create a smart contract, and this smart contract will increment the value, decrement the value, and it will allow us to fetch the value of our state variable of the contract. Okay, so that's what the contract we're going to write. And the reason why I have chose this particular contract, because in this we're going to create three functions, and three functions we're going to act differently, and we're going to do different work with that three function into our smart contract. Okay, so first we have to provide the general convention which you guys already know. So here we have our license identifier and we have our pragma solidity core version name, and now we have to give the contract name. So here I've done nothing. I've followed the general convention. I have taken the keyword contract, and this is the name of the smart contract, and the state variable I have taken is a unt type, and I use the public keyword, and this is the name of my state variable. Currently I'm not defining any value because we're going to do with the help of setter function and getter function. Okay, we're going to increment the value of this count and increment, and then finally we're going to get it. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So the function we're going to create, let me write that quickly. So this is the three function we're going to create. The first function will simply allow us to check the value of our state variable. This function will simply increment the value by 1, and this will decrement. Okay, so let's start with the increment first. So if I come here, if I open my, so currently let me save it and let me deploy the contract. So it's already deployed. Let's come to this deployment sections and let's expand this one, and from here let's save it one more time. Currently I'm getting some error, so what it is, so let me provide the identifier at the top and let's save it. And as you can see right now everything's working fine. Simply come here and we need to deploy our contract. So it's successfully compiled. Let's come here in the deployment section, and here we have the file, and if we click on deploy, here our contract got deployed. Let me open this one, and this time this is the call stack. As you can see, if I open this, you can find the entire detail of this deployment. So this is the status. Status is true, transaction mined and execution success. Transaction hash is this from to, and this is the gas fee we paid to deploy our contract from this account. As you can see, it got a little less amount here because we have to pay gas fee for that. Transaction cost, execution cost, input, and this is the input and output data, all the details you will find of this contract. And if I open this, let's open this one. Here I have a count because we have used the public keyword. So let me bring my terminal down. Here we have used the public keyword. It create a getter function. So if I call this one, as you can see, it's a unt type and the value of this count is 0. Right now we don't have anything. Okay, so now we're going to create the function increment and decrement, and then we create the getter functions. So let's create that first. So this is the function which increment the our state variable. So I have used the keyword functions, then this is the function name, and I've used the public keyword so I can easily call outside of this contract. And here I'm increasing the count +1. If I save and if I come here again to this, let me delete the old deployed and this one, and let's deploy the contract one more time. If I open it right now, I have two functions. So as you can see, if I click on count, I'll get 0 and I get all the information. But if I click on increment in this functions, and if I click on this, here I will have 1. As you can see, this count is getting updated, and no matter how many you update your state variable, every time you update, you have to pay gas fee for that. And all these, you can see all the transaction is happening because you are changing the state of the state variables in the contract. So for that you have to pay the gas fee. So that's what you have to keep in mind, because when you work in actual project where you have to be very conscious about defining the state variable, because this is the value which is going to store in your blockchains. And you know that if you want to store anything in the blockchain, you have to pay money for that. So you have to be very conscious about this state variable, and that's why I'm giving so much emphasis in that. Let's come down and let's write the function for decrement. So this is a simple decrement functions I have created, and I have added one more point here for all of you guys. And what this point is, so as you can see, initially the value of our state variable is 0. Okay, the value of state variable is 0, and if I try to decrement and try to take it into minus, that is not possible. It will give me an error. So let's come and let me show you. So right now, if I call this count variable, it has 2. Okay, so first I have to deploy the contract. Sorry, my fault, my bad. And let's come here in the deployment section. I'll click on deployed, and here we have our contract. Let's open it, and here we have 3 functions, as you can see. So right now we have a 0. There is nothing in this our state variable, and if I call this decrement function, I'll get an error. You can see the transaction is failed, and this automatically get verified by the program. Okay, you don't need to write explicitly for that. The Solidity will throw an error, and it will say that transaction is failed. No matter how many times you will call, the transaction will get failed. If I call count, it still be 0. If I call increment, and if I call count, it will have 1. But this time if I call decrement, I will have a success transaction because I have 1 in my state variable. And if I call count once more time, I have 0. So both these functions are working perfectly in our smart contract. And now let's write this final function before we wrap up this video. Okay, and this is our getter functions. So with this function, what we are doing, we are simply trying to access and see the value of this state variables. And here you have noticed one thing, that I have used a special keyword for the very first time. And what this keyword does, it allow you to see the state variable. So this function is doing nothing. It's only allowing you to read the values. Okay, if you want to read the value, you have to do like this. Okay, you have to provide this view, and you can create a function for that. If you don't call this public, if I just remove this public, it's simply a UNT type. And if I deploy the contract, let me delete the old one. If I deploy this one, the contract got deployed, and let me open this one, and here I have only 3 functions, and this getter function will allow me to see the value of this count. So right now it's 0. If I call increment, if I call this, so as you can see, it allows me to see the value. And the best part of this function is, whenever you call this function, you don't need to pay any gas fee, because you are not doing any changes in your state variable. This state variable is being in the same condition. You are not making any changes there. Here it's a number, but when you write a smart contract, you will have a lot of value there. You will have another contract inside another contract. Okay, so you are not doing any changes here. What you are doing, simply you are reading the value of this. So no matter how many times you call this function, you will find that you don't need to pay any gas fee for that. Okay, so hope everything's clear to all of you. I will go slow and steady so you guys can understand everything, and I'm going to give you all these type of comments. So when you will refer to this code, you will know that what these codes are doing, and then it becomes very easy to all of you, so you can understand everything in one go. You don't need to rewatch things over and over again. So what we have done so far, we have provided our license ID, we have provided our Solidity versions, we have created a smart contract, and we have given the name of contract, and in that we have created 3 functions. First function allow us to see the value of our state variable. Second function will simply increment the value of the state variable, and third function will decrement the value. So this is how you can create function inside a smart contract. The only motive of creating this tutorial, this first application, to show you that how you can create function inside a smart contract. And this could be more complex. Okay, this could be more complex, like you have an object instead of a single variable, you will have an object. So we're going to cover everything. We go slow and we'll try to understand everything. So make sure you watch this complete tutorial, complete course, to grasp everything about the Solidity. So with that said, now let's move to the next video, where we're going to explore about data type.